So, hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Beta Alpha Psi official unofficial podcast. So happy to be back with MYOB, and I'm joined with Shailan Patel from the offices in New Zealand. And I'm sure if you heard our previous, some of our previous episodes, Shailan's introduced himself. He's one of our key partners. He's been with Beta Alpha Psi since 2015 or 2016. Was that right, Shailan?
So 2016.
2016, several years ago now. But back again. Thank you for being back.
Great to be back on with you.
Yeah, awesome. So this time, we'll talk a little bit more about, how can Beta Alpha Psi really help bridge that gap between, what does MYOB expect of graduates? Because I know the last time we spoke, we were speaking about some of the key skills that MYOB is looking for in its graduates and interns. I know we had a case study around, one of your superstar employees, Getty, and one of our superstar alumni as well. So shout out to Getty again. He must be feeling special. Just wanted to hear a little bit more about how you think, we can collaborate, and certainly some of the initiatives that you've been part of, Shailan, in terms of boosting that employability, and how can we better, bridge that gap between academia and the workforce?
I think, look, a starting point is that by its nature, most, if not all, of the Beta Alpha Psi chapters are already doing it. So I don't think it's something that is necessarily going to be new, but I think as business continues to involve different industries that your members want to join, evolve, how does that collaboration evolve? So it's not like we're starting from zero.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's going to be a whole new thing that your members are going to expect or want. I think what your members are going to be looking at, the different executives within the chapters, is, okay, that worked in, let's say, 2016 when I first, started working with Alpha Psi, or 2019 just before COVID, or that worked during COVID. Now, that worked after COVID, sort of 21, 22. What 24, 25, 26 looks like, each of those years may be different in itself. And what companies are expecting, on the whole, there will be, some similar traits, but again, there'll be some different skills may be required, different technologies that they would want those members to have at least exposure to. So obviously big buzz at the moment, AI. But we're not expecting Beta Alpha Psi chapters and their members to be AI experts, but at least exploring and trying to work out, well, what impact will that have on the role that I'm going to? Because it's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then if I was the chapter, I'd be thinking, okay, this is the big buzz thing. Right, let's get a speaker in about ChatGPT, for example. So keeping up with what's happening with the times, and then planning activity around that is probably what I think is going to be, or help continue to bridge that gap between what you guys are doing and then what graduate employers are wanting. But having a at its principle, having a speaker come in and do a session with your members is not new. But what the topic is obviously going to be, right? And there will be some, last time Tricia mentioned those life skills, human skills, soft skills, whatever you want to call them. I've run a personal branding session with the University of Auckland chapter for a number of years, and a few of the other chapters now as well, because they've heard about that one. That's something that's going to sort of stand the test of time, right? It's going to continue to do that. But then when you're looking at things like AI or other technologies that are coming through, or other bigger impacts that are happening, then they may be just what is relevant to that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to pick up on what you mentioned, for example, around like AI and technologies. And I know MYOB is very big in that space, right? Like building, I think last time when Trish was here, financial and digital literacy, like equally on both fronts. How have you found that intersectionality between those skills, like, coming like together? And how has I'm curious to see or hear about how MYOB's kind of like, helping its students helping the students transition into the workforce? I know you mentioned there was a sort of growth mindset, like,
Mm.
helping your kind of grads develop those, I think it was coding skills, right? Like all those kind of more technical skills. Perhaps something about AI then, like, is there something in sort of MYOB's pipeline in terms of helping students uplift that knowledge?
There isn't anything specifically with AI, but
Mhm.
even our software that is being incorporated within different accounting and business courses across
Mhm.
institutions across Australia and New Zealand. Um, One of the reasons we do that, obviously, from MYB perspective, is if you learn our software, you like it, you're used to it, you're more likely to use it when you go out in practice. Um, but also, it adds that practical element to the theory that you're learning.
Exactly.
So, but within that software, there is elements of AI that we've already incorporated. And so you get to understand that AI isn't new, it's already around us within your professional and personal life. And then you're getting used to those technologies and what it's doing and understanding how it's working. So you can, again, maybe more start exploring and understanding
Mhm.
how it will impact when you get into the workforce. So we don't have an AI course as such. Um, but then, even if we think about our personal lives, your streaming services, when they're recommending the shows that you should
Yeah.
watch,
Yeah.
that's not a
That's
human.
actually, yeah.
That's AI, right?
Yeah, that's
That
AI,
that's
exactly.
yeah, that's not someone going through Mangala's Netflix and thinking, okay, well, he's watched these TV shows. I'm now going to add this to it, right?
It's just an
Um,
algorithm.
that's it. And so I suppose just understanding that bit of maybe more at a higher level, unless you're really interested, you'll go deep, but enough to show when you're going to an interview, you can identify where it's coming in already
Yeah,
within
yeah,
your life, where it can go,
yeah,
um, and and going on there. Because, like I said, unless you're going for a specific AI role, um, no one is going to be expecting you to
yeah,
be an AI expert. But on the flip side, then you do have, I think, the most sought after job now is prompt engineers,
yeah.
right? So how you prompt generative AI to get obviously good
Good results.
responses, yeah,
Yeah.
and results. So if I'm a student, am I aware of that role?
Yeah,
Am I
right.
aware
Okay.
that's where it's going? So all
Yeah.
of a sudden, if that's something that I'm interested in, okay, well, how do I learn more about it?
Yeah.
Maybe ask ChatGPT itself, and
Yeah.
they'll be
Yeah.
able to help you. But
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
there's so many ways now, especially with something like that, with a technology that is just so widely accessible, being adopted, you know, such high adoption rates, and just immersing yourself enough within it so that you are going to an interview, an assessment, or even a networking event with some basic knowledge about this thing that is affecting everyone. And like I said, you don't need to be an expert within it, but show that you are fully well aware of it within the space that you're looking to enter. Just like if you are looking to enter in the accounting fields, then you know what MYB is and the software that we offer and other software providers within this space, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're going to look, focusing more just on payroll, then you know that what softwares are there for that, or whatever industry it may be,
Yeah.
or whatever roles. Who are the players? Who are the stakeholders? What tools are you likely to be using to get there? And all of this then feeds into ultimately that digital literacy, that financial literacy, um, and again, it's probably not something that you're just going to complete.
Yeah.
You know, I, I'm digitally literate. I don't need to learn anything more
Yeah.
because something's going to come through.
Evolving.
And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the financial side may be a little bit more finite, but then even then, the tools that you're using to continue to be, financially savvy, continue to change. It's all sort of in linked in to then business literacy. So they're all interlinked. I don't think they're all separate, and it's almost just putting yourself in the strongest position to get the role that you want within the industry that you're looking initially, because it will change. So, so that's the other key part, is that you're not learning for the rest of your career. You're almost just learning for that next 1 or 2 jobs, because if they say you're going to have 18 jobs, you're not going to do 18 degrees, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I know we're going off a little bit of a tangent there, but again,
No, but
it
that's
all links
important.
back. It all links
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. It feeds into something that I really wanted to explore on, but I know we had to cut short last time around growth mindset, right? Like you were saying, it's fostering that growth mindset. So it's in for our listeners. I think this has been a very beneficial, like, segment of this conversation around, like, I think what you were saying is effectively is, almost study and prep for the two jobs ahead of you, but then be prepared to do more study and prep, like, and when I say study, it doesn't have to be formal, right? Like, can be sort of, just explore and research. But yeah, how do you keep that growth mindset going? Because in university, like, I'm sort of casting back my memory a bit, but like, we get really much, driven by timelines and deadlines, assignments. Like, it's almost like, okay, this is the assignment, we need to get it done. Whereas something like, fostering that mindset around AI, or like, exploring new technologies, understanding how my Netflix works, Shailen, like, that doesn't come, it might not come naturally, I should say, to some. So how do you sort of grow, like, I mean, not grow the growth mindset, but how do you foster that growth mindset?
Whenever I'm presenting or do a guest lecture, one of the first slides that I show is the quote from Charles Darwin: "It's not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that's most adaptable to change." So the reason why I share that is because if you take anything from this podcast, the previous podcast, or you've heard me before, hopefully it's that need to be adaptable with change.
Yeah.
And so if we understand that, we recognize that, and especially within the accounting industry that we're working in, you could have been the strongest accountant in the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, the most intelligent accountant out there. But if you do not adapt to what's happening now and coming, you may not be as successful. And
Yeah.
then, we talk about AI, automation, wherever it comes in, technology, first role on the chopping block,
Yep.
accounting, right? But we know that's not true. But what is true, so AI will not replace accountants, but the AI enabled will probably replace the accountants that dismiss AI,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That makes, yeah.
almost, get on the train, it's happening. How do
Yeah.
we embrace it? How do we adapt to it? I was the strongest accountant with pen and paper, for example.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're going to be the strongest now. And so I think that, understanding and whether you adapt well to it, COVID, some people obviously handled it a lot better. We all had to adapt to it. There was
Yep.
no way
Yep.
you weren't. And then it's then thinking, okay, well, what do I need to do? And almost, again, some of the questions that I pose when I'm presenting or lecturing is, with this change, it comes down to mindset with a couple of questions that you're asked.
Mm-hmm.
So technology, are you going to embrace it or dismiss it? Right? Automation, again, technology, are you going to fear it or excited about what it can do, how it can help reduce tasks, free up time to provide more value?
Mm.
And with, we've already mentioned 18 different jobs, or,
Yeah.
6, 7 different industries, careers. Are you excited about the potential to continue to upskill and have different opportunities? Or do you fear the changes that are already happening in the roles, companies, industries that you're studying towards? Right. So you've
Yeah.
got two sides of the coin, and it's nothing to do with your actual academic or professional skills. It literally comes down to, I'm going to embrace this technology or I'm going to dismiss
Right.
it.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I want to continue to learn, or I just want to learn for this role and this
Yep.
role only, and I
Yep.
don't want that role to change, even though it's going to. And then, and when I talk about dismissing technology, there's a quote from Steve Ballmer, who's the Microsoft CEO in 2007,
Yeah.
who said there's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
CEO of Microsoft has just dismissed what is going to happen with the iPhone and Apple.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not easy, right? It's not
Yeah.
easy. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, if someone at the top of their field can get it wrong, and be so dismissive, then it's understandable if the rest of us are. But that is, and we've seen that within MYB. We were around before, internet was mainstream.
Yeah,
before
yeah,
cloud computing
yeah, yeah.
was
It's been around for
expected.
some time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we've been
yeah,
around for over 30 years, right?
yeah,
So when new competitors came on the market, in the late 2000s, they were online. We had online products. Like, so
yeah,
it wasn't like we were, this was saying new that was happening outside of our organization.
yeah,
We just weren't as far along in our journey. And within the company, at least 95% felt, yes, we need to be online, right?
yeah.
So the employees, but I think it was something
Most
like,
places, I think.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
places, yeah,
But the issue that we faced as an organization, which I'm sure many others did,
yeah,
was that 75, 80% of our staff felt their role did not need to change. But hold on, we've been working with a product that has been on premise, desktop, however you want to describe it,
mm.
to a product that's online. The product that you're dealing with is changing. The software is changing.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
So
role is going to change. So actually, the issue wasn't whether MYB needs to be online. The issue was, have we got the right people in the right roles
right. Okay.
to
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
what
No,
they're saying is, my role doesn't need to change. Yes, let's go online, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And so some people left, some new people came in. But on
yeah,
the whole, it was working out. Okay, right. Mangala, you've been doing this for us for a few years now. We've identified these are your skills. You've said these are your skills. This is where you want to go. Now you're into this role as we move online. And just like, so now we're evolving from just accounting software to a business management platform, the
yes,
same
that's
thing
right.
will continue to happen,
Yeah.
right? There'll be shifts within there. And
I love the roadshow on that, by the way. The
yeah,
roadshow. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So
excellent.
thank you for
Yeah.
that
So,
invite to that. That was really
that
insightful. If
again, that's great
sure.
there.
Yeah.
And so that's where, again, I think now companies will continue to evolve, and not to put down on it, whether it's a restructure or redundancy, things like that. I think it's the companies are evolving more, and they have to evolve more quickly now
Yeah.
than they previously did. You could get away with it maybe every 2 or 3 years or every year. You can't now. Things are just changing too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's an interesting one, right? Like in a constantly evolving environment, I wonder what the sort of flow on impact, like, do the goalposts effectively change then for graduates almost every year? Like, when you're about to apply for internships and graduate programs, like what you were saying, there are those base skills that you have, like as in, right? Like like soft skills, life skills, as I think Trish put it in the other episode. Like but what about like kind of the technical skills? Like, so then does that mean when you're going out to sort of to market and looking for the brightest graduates, then are you looking for their technical capability, or are you like, I think last time you mentioned it was more of that growth mindset as opposed to the, or a little bit of both maybe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
look at different industries, different roles have different requirements. So
Hmm.
at MYB, our graduate program is just those that are interested in a career in software development.
Okay.
So we
Interest.
will look
Keyword
at,
interest.
yes,
Okay.
yes, that is also, and I'll come to why that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because we will look at software engineering, computer science students, we will look at self-taught, and we will look at career changers, those
Okay.
that may have done a boot camp. So for you, so you might be studying an arts degree, but think I want to become a software developer.
Yeah.
Do a boot camp for 6 months and then join MYB.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There you go.
Right? So I think then the question is not what you're studying; it's actually what do you want to do,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to become an accountant, then you're likely to do your CA or CPA, right? You
Yeah.
have to. That's the
Yeah. Yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that CA in particular looking at other different pathways, which is great because we're in a field where we can look at self-taught. I don't think you can be a
Self-taught accountant.
self-taught accountant,
Yeah.
right? Like there's
Yeah.
certain papers you need to do and
Yeah.
you need to pass
Yeah.
because of the
Sort
nature
of
of that job.
legislation.
So again, but what that industry could do is take some learnings from us to see, okay, well, where can they push it? Where can they push the boundaries?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what we've identified is, right, yes, we want those studying software engineering, computer science for sure, but also we've understood that competition is tight. We have to look beyond traditional pathways, as in just university. So can we get people from boot camps that are doing, a few months, 6 months, 12 months course
Mm-hmm.
with a
Mm-hmm.
private training provider or
Yeah.
an RTO? And what if, some of our graduates have been maybe a pharmacist for 30 years and now thinks, I want to go in the tech field. maybe someone who's had a kid,
Yeah.
man or woman, has taken a year off to raise their child and go in, and so therefore we can then provide some of that training if they've got the other skill sets, because we can teach you the technical. It's harder to teach you to have a growth mindset.
Got
It's
it.
harder to teach you. It's
Yeah.
harder to
Yeah.
teach you to play with others.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
harder, you know, we work in teams, like working in a team, then that's I think more of a struggle than almost teaching someone to code. But you've got to have that interest as well to become
Yeah.
a software developer, regardless of where you're at in that journey. If you don't want to be a software developer, then don't join MYOB's grad program, because that is where it starts. But then you may go into other areas, and we've highlighted Keddy. He joined as a graduate developer, but he's now a DevOps engineer, which
Yeah.
is still within that space. It's different. Don't ask me how, but it is different.
Yeah.
But obviously, initially, he didn't join as a graduate DevOps engineer. He joined as a graduate developer, and then he's worked his way into different parts of the business.
There we go. Yeah, yeah. No, that makes, yeah. So it's kind of like overlaid with the business, like, you develop those technical knowledge, like, the sort of the coding and whatnot over time, right? But most importantly, you have to have that interest, but equally kind of, the sort of the soft skills, like, for example, the teamwork. Like if you don't have that, then yeah, it's a little bit harder.
That's it. And if we've seen someone who, as I mentioned, has been in another industry for 20, 30 years, and then has removed themselves from that and gone to study wherever it may be to become a software developer, then we can obviously see that they've taken a big jump. They've
Yeah,
taken a leap. They've said, this is where we want to go.
yeah,
We've left that part of our career behind us, and this is what we want to do. So we would it would not be in our favor if we just dismissed that whole cohort of people, potentially that talent coming through, and just said, we'll only look at those that have studied engineering for
yeah,
3 years, software engineering or computer science, because that pharmacist has 30 years experience
yeah,
in other skills that they've developed over that time. Or even someone that's returning to work, they've the skills that they may have or they would have developed being a stay-at-home parent, or having a side hustle, or whatever it may be. And how do we transfer that into what we're looking for from our software development teams? Fill any gaps that
Fill
they
in.
obviously will have in
Yeah.
terms of the technical side,
Mhm.
and then off they go.
Let them flourish.
That's it,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
So all these, and that's where a lot of other organizations are already starting to think. And if they're not,
yeah,
with regards to obviously in terms of the talent pipeline, it's tough, it's
yeah,
competitive, but they're looking at career changes, alternate channels to university, and school leaver and apprenticeship programs. So
yeah,
now they're even looking, well, actually beyond, before going into tertiary, we'll pluck them straight out of school
yeah. Wow. Okay.
and take
Yeah,
them into our journey, right?
yeah,
Because if competition for talent is so tight, then you can't just rely on your current channels
yeah, yeah,
to fill the gaps that you have. And we've come away from it a bit, but your original question about what do graduates need to do,
That's the beauty of the
again,
conversation, right? It flows.
yeah, but
No,
but the other
yeah,
thing is that actually
yeah.
this is probably the strongest. So in the 8 years that I've been within this space, this is the strongest position that grads are in. So it used to be companies had their cherry pick, not anymore. It's the grads now have their cherry pick. Most grads will
Okay.
have maybe 2 or 3 different roles lined up,
Hopefully the listeners are listening in.
right?
The sort of potential grads and interns into listening. Yeah,
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 that they are in a strong position, and
yeah,
being part of organizations like Beta Alpha Psi
yeah,
puts you in that strong position. You're doing the work. You're part of the events. You're supporting your community. You're
yeah.
presenting to executives and
Mm,
judges. Judges. You're getting your name out there, building your experience in all different areas. So then
yeah,
when you go to market, then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 different companies that are wanting you, and then you determine and decide which one's the best for you. And the once you get an offer, it's most likely going to be 6 to 12 months before you start.
yeah,
You'll still be looking, right? That's
yeah.
just the nature of the beast. So
Nature. Yeah,
you never, other opportunities are going to come up, and so take advantage of that. keep
Yeah,
doing what you're doing and take
yeah,
advantage of that, and know that also, again, previous points that we mentioned, that you're not signing up for the rest of your life.
exactly.
Uh,
Well,
you don't need to look too far ahead
yeah,
because of how
constantly
quickly things can
evolving.
change.
Yeah, the constantly evolving nature of the industry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you've mentioned so many different things there, and we could go on for hours.
That's
But
it.
I wanted to end a little bit on a more positive note, in the sense of, like, personal positive note, right? Like you've been I've been seeing your awards coming up all over my LinkedIn newsfeed, Shailen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
From MYOB, from University of Auckland, like, the different kind of awards that you've got. I guess I know you said the job's kind of like, 2 to 3 years, but what's been keeping you around in the sort of like in this space for the past however many years
Yeah,
that you've been
8 years.
doing student and I think graduate development? Like what keeps you here?
Um, I sort of fell into this space, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And yeah, look, I love how education is just full of opportunity, promise, and will continue to evolve. So although technically I've been in the same role for the whole time at MYB, I know that I've been involved in updating my job description and,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and job role
Yeah.
at least 2 or 3
It's
times. And
constantly
so
changing.
it will change.
Yeah.
If I think about, we became a partner with the University of Auckland Beta Alpha Psi in 2016, but
Yeah.
we didn't become a professional partner since 2021, right?
So,
Of the region, and there's still maybe 1 or 2 chapters that we don't have as strong a relationship as some of the others. So there's still so much opportunity there. Regardless of what's happening in the world, we're not going to run out of students. And my first role out of university was in recruitment, so I've always been interested in that careers, job search side of things. So that also plays into here. Over the last couple of years, I've been involved with the New Zealand Association for Graduate Employers. So again, my interest within early talent and graduate recruitment has got even more prominent. And so, as long as I think things keep changing, then I'll still be interested because there's so much more to learn, so much more that we can potentially achieve or do within this space. And then obviously last few years working with Trisha has meant that we've been able to take it to the next level because she's bringing a completely different experience, not only with MYB, but within her career journey to what we want to achieve. And so that is why we talked about a lot about jobs changing and things like that. I feel like I've had, 2, 3, 4 different jobs within this space,
yeah.
although technically it's only been one
Yeah.
within the whole time that I've been here. And also, initially it was just New Zealand. Now, me and Trisha look after Australia and New Zealand together. There's
Yep.
different partnerships. This year, big focus on the TAFE system,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, you
how we
mentioned
work
that,
with them,
plucking them
and
straight
how
out of
eh,
it.
how can we work with those vocations. So again, there's always new opportunities. We've been a professional partner for a few years now, but this was the first year in person that we attended the regional event. Next year, will be the first time in New Zealand that we'll be attending the regional event
Mhm.
in person. And so again, there's just, I mentioned about education being, there's so much promise, so much opportunity, and it's continually something that keeps me engaged, keeps me happy, and so
AI, right?
I'll
For
I'll
example,
continue doing it, right?
AI. I was just gonna say AI, right? Like, as in it throwing a
Yeah.
spanner into works, like in
Oh,
terms of
that's it, right?
education.
How's
Yeah.
that going to affect, early talent, graduate recruitment, that whole space? At the NZAG Summit last week, we had a great speaker on it, and just, really, and we had a couple other keynotes highlighting, well, even outside of that sort of stuff, like why do we hire grads? And I could, the MYB line would be, talent pipeline within software development, but can we go granular than that? What is it? And now we're seeing it's not just a nice to have, or something that we should do if we've got the money. It's an important part of building your talent pipeline and your work
Yeah.
for years to come. Any organization, I just don't think, can or will not be as successful if they don't have a strong
Strong part.
early talent program,
For
right?
sure.
Because you're going to be missing out on some just exceptional talent, as we know through working with Beta Alpha Psi.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, and we look forward to continuing that
Mm,
collaboration as well. Between MYOB and Beta Alpha Psi, certainly within the Oceania region, you've been a very, a strong partner in terms and supporter of all of our graduates. All of our students who are aspiring graduates, aspiring interns as well. And we deeply appreciate the kind of the sort of the different lens that you bring, in the sense that MYOB is not your conventional accounting, like it doesn't provide that standard audit or like tax or those kinds of like pathways, right? Like it's more something that's a mixture of accounting, finance, and information systems, something that Beta Alpha Psi is actively fostering in terms of trying to build their portfolio in all three communities. But yes, our time is fast running out.
mm.
So thank you so much for your time, Shailen. And I really look forward to having another conversation with you, I'm sure, because you mentioned something, a sort of a sneak preview almost of
Mm,
community mindset, right? Something that Beta
mm.
Upside is big on, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, we'll save that for
As
another
I'm
time. But
sure
no,
there's
look,
a couple of,
I,
yeah.
I want to just reiterate that this partnership very much two way. So appreciate even this year was the first year that we've connected, and understanding the role that you have, the likes of Caitlin, but all the chapters, all the executive teams, all the faculty advisors. As much as we have provided, we have benefited as well, and so that's ultimately what the partnership is. Great to be on the podcast, and yeah,
Yep.
looking forward to whatever the next activity may be, but I'm sure it's not going to be too far away.
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll be you'll be swamped with them. They'll be
For
popping into your
sure.
calendar any minute now.
That is it. That is it.
Thanks so much, Shailen. Appreciate the
No
time.
worries. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Mangala here with the credits. This episode, titled Graduate Growth, Navigating Career Skills with MYOB, was hosted by myself, Mangala Prasedia, and accompanied by our special guest, Shailan Patel from MYOB. The episode was recorded online, and the music was sourced from Resolute Audio and Fine Tune Music on Adobe Stock. A huge shout out to Beta Alpha Psi for their financial support and keeping the podcast going strong. If you haven't already, please join the alumni and member network. Details can be found in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Becoming a Professional.